Hello everybody, this is Kay and welcome to my channel, Junking with Gigi. Thank you so much for watching today. I am going to share a really fun project with you today. This is a no-sew binding method for journals. And I have a couple here that I've made using this method already that I'm going to show you real quick before we get on with the tutorial. I've seen this done before. I don't know what it's called, but I think I'm going to call it the accordion spine insert method, because it is a strip of fabric, or not fabric, paper. I guess you could use fabric, but a strip of fabric that you fold accordion style, and then you put it into some slots. You insert it into some slots that you put in your signatures, and it's not very easy to see on that one, but if you can see on this one, there's a slot in my paper that I've put the fold of the accordion through, and then attached this half of a doily here to hold it in place. And I know it's not easy to see here, but you will see it'll make more sense when I actually start doing the project. But I made this one using this method, and I've kept this one for myself because I didn't even realize when I was decorating the front that I put the focal point on sideways. So this became mine, and it's just kind of a neutral themed art style type journal, and this is also an art style type journal that I had two of these actually, one decorated differently, but I sold one at one of my craft fairs, and I've binded this together using the same method. It's just hard to see. This is the paper that I used as the accordion fold. So you can see it's coming up through the middle here, and then I just pasted another piece of paper onto it to hold it in place. It will all make more sense once I start doing this with you. This one you can't see very well on the outside because I did cover it with some lace and ribbon there. But I just wanted to show you those two that I've already made using this method. It really is kind of a simple and fun way to bind signatures into a journal without any sewing. So I've done a little bit of preparation ahead of time. I've got my signatures here, and I'm going to do 10 signatures in this journal, and I've got 3 pages in each signature. I'll just show you real quick some of the papers I used. These were some jelly print pull papers that I had left over from a jelly printing session. These are the papers that you use to remove the paint or whatever you're using as your medium before you do your actual jelly print. And honestly, some of them turned out just as nice as the actual jelly prints. So I used some of those in my signatures. I've also got just some kind of plain, this is like kind of a heavyweight construction paper, and then just random scraps that I drug out of my scrap drawer for the other pages in these. You can see I've just kind of mixed them up. There's another one of those jelly print pull papers. So that's what I've got in all of my signatures here, and I have 10 of them. So I wanted to get that ready ahead of time so this video didn't turn out too long. So I'm going to set those aside for now, and we're just going to work on the accordion part. I had already folded this one up because I was figuring out like my measurements and stuff in preparation for this video. So that's why that one's already folded. And then after I folded it, I decided to do my first one a little bit differently because I want to leave a bigger flap for my cover, to attach my cover to, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to grab my scoreboard here, because what we're going to do here is, okay, so these are going to be my accordions that are going to be for my spine, and they are 2.5 inches wide. My signatures are 5 inches wide. So you need to make it narrower than your signature, but you also want to leave a little bit of space between it and the edge so that you can attach when you insert your accordion, you have room to attach your holding piece. And I don't know if I'm making much sense, but it will make sense as I do this. Okay, so this is going to be my first piece. And because I want a bigger beginning flap to attach my cover to, I'm going to start my scoring at 3 inches. So that's going to be the first fold, and it's going to be like this so I can put my cover on there. And it'll be more stable because I have a bigger surface to glue my cover to. So what I'm going to do from that 3 inches, is I'm going to score at every inch after that. So 4, 5, 6, and so on. And now I'm just going to proceed to fold these back and forth accordion style on those 1-inch score marks. Trying to get it, let me move this for a second. Trying to get it lined up. See how that's kind of going crooked? Where you can kind of force your score lines a little by lining it up and then giving it that good crease. And just continue to fold that back and forth accordion style. And so now what I have is this, and you can see by looking at it, so this is going to be my cover. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains, if you want to call them that. So each one of those is going to hold a signature. So, and I have 10 signatures, so I'm going to take this other piece that I had already folded, and I'm going to kind of attach it here, and that will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'll have to do one more to get that 10th mountain for my last signature and also the back cover. So, but first I'm just going to go ahead and attach this with just a little bit of glue, and I'm using my Aleene's tacky glue again today. So I want to attach it like this. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of this one. And just glue it in there and get those sides nice and even. So I have one more strip of this black paper here, so I'm going to do the same thing like I did with the other one, and I'm going to cut that score at the 3-inch mark for my back cover, and that will be like this. So I'm going to need one more mountain to attach onto here, but I'm also going to need another extra flap for gluing onto the bottom of this. So basically what I need is 1, 2, 3 more scores after that 3-inch line. So I'm going to cut it right here, but I'm actually going to cut it slightly shy of that score line, just so that it glues into that next accordion fold. Good, I'll save that in case I need a tag or something later. So, okay, so let me set this aside. So I'm going to glue this into here like this. So this is what I have. I have my flap for my front cover, and I've got 2 pieces of chipboard ready here for my front covers that are going to go like this and like this on the ends. And then I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mountains for my signatures. So what I'm gonna do now is, I think I said these were 2.5 inches. This is slightly over 2.5 inches wide. So what I need to do now is take my signatures, and I'll just show you this on a couple of them, and then I'll kind of speed it up, because once you see what I'm doing on a couple of them, you won't need to watch me do it to all 10. And I'm gonna grab my ruler, and I'm gonna line it up here, so with my inch mark at the very edge, and just kind of try and line it up as best I can with the middle of my signature. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my craft knife, and I'm going to use my smaller one that I have, and I'm going to make a 2.5 inch slit down the middle of this signature. Now, okay, so I'm going to make a cut from the 1 1/4 mark on my ruler to the 3 3/4 mark on my ruler, and that's going to give me a 2.5 inch slot. And I'm actually going to go slightly beyond that so that our signatures have a little bit of wiggle room when inserting that accordion spine. So I'm just going to go barely slightly past it. Trying to make sure that I get all the way through all 3 pages of my signature. Alright, so I'm going to take that signature with that 2.5 or slightly more than that slot through all 3 pages, and I'm going to finagle it over the first mountain in my accordion spine, or insert it into there. And sometimes you kind of have to wiggle it around a little till you get it in there. Okay, so it's snug, but it's not too snug that it buckles, and it's not loose either. That's so I went slightly over that 2.5 just to give me a little bit more wiggle room. And that's how you insert the accordion piece into your signatures. Now your signatures can have any number of papers you want, or they can just have 1 paper too. I chose to do 3 on each signature of this, just because I wanted to use up some papers and just make it more, have more pages in it. So there's our first signature inserted into our accordion spine. So now what we need to do, because this can slip right off as easily as it slipped in, and the way you keep that from slipping off now is, now I've got some pieces of paper already cut and folded, and these I'm going to call my holding pieces. So I've just got some scraps that I grabbed out of my drawer of junk of scraps, and I cut them to 3 by 2.5, and then I folded them half lengthwise. So what I want to do here is put glue all on the inside of this piece. I'm going to kind of center it as best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, and slide it down over there, but I'm going to try and not get it too tight, because I still want these to be able to fold up like that. So I'm going to put glue all over the inside of this piece. And there we have our first signature secured into our accordion spine. Okay, I'm going to do one more of the signatures with you, and then I'll probably speed this up. I think it's pretty simple once you see it done once or twice, that you don't need to see it 10 times. So I'm going to get my next signature, and I'm going to get my ruler and line the end of it up with the end of my signature. And again, I'm going to cut that all up against that from 1 1/4 to 3 3/4. This heavy-duty construction paper I have has given me a little bit of trouble with my cutting. It doesn't want to cut real smooth, but I'm not that worried about that because it's not going to show once we get this inserted and get our holding piece on there. So I'm going to go to my next mountain, insert that. Oh, and also make sure if you have any pages, this one doesn't, but if you have any pages with writing, like this one has a little bit, some pictures and stuff, make sure you get them in there upright so you don't end up with upside down pages. All right, so that's going to go in there like that. Now we have our second signature in. And another thing that I like to do, and you probably saw me do this, is to just go and just kind of do the creasing on each individual page. Ooh, I got a little rip in that one. Just so that it creases and everything lays nice and flat. So I just like to run through it and do this to it. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 8 signatures that I have prepared here off camera. I think you got the idea of how this is done, and then I'll be back to put on my covers and show you the final project. All 10 signatures are in now. I actually got it fairly even, and you can see here what it looks like on the spine and from the top. And another nice thing about this method of binding is that when you're working in it or writing in it, it lays open pretty well no matter where you turn it to. Now there might be a little bit of stiffness here and there, but with just a little press you can get it to lay pretty flat no matter where you open it. I put a little pocket here with some of my scraps of my jelly pull papers there, but that's all complete, and now we can add the covers. So I showed you before I have just a couple of plain pieces of chipboard for the covers, and I cut them to the same size. You can make them a little bit bigger if you want so that your cover extends beyond the edge of your pages a little bit. I just chose not to do that on this one. You can do it however you want. You can make these any size you want. But before I attach my covers, what I want to do is I want to add a closure, and I want to use this black and gold ribbon that that piece ain't gonna work, that I got from the Dollar Tree. And what I want to do is I want to have it kind of running underneath the covers, front and back, and coming out this end. So I'm going to leave myself enough to be able to tie a bow. That's what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to cut this off plenty long enough. I'm going to go ahead and cut it at a diagonal so I don't have unraveling at either end of this ribbon. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here and get it in the middle of the spine piece. And just glue the ribbon down to the spine part of this on the top. So I'm just going to run a little bit of glue. I'm going to be adding more glue when I put the covers on. Like that, to hold the ribbon in place. And flip it over and do the same thing on the back side. Set this aside for a minute while that glue sets a little bit, and I want to add something to the fronts of my two cover pieces, front and back, before I glue them on. And I've got a couple of other jelly prints here that I want to use for this. I also want to put this on the front cover. This is from a die cut set I got. I think I got it from Your Creative Studio a long time ago. There's several of these in a pack, and I just thought this one was really pretty with her black dress and her kind of green and gold-ish butterfly wings behind her. And I thought for the front that would look really good against this kind of silvery black jelly print. So I'm going to glue this down onto the front cover, but I want to leave a little bit of a border. So I'm going to do it on this side so that I don't leave any pencil marks. I want to leave just, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch border. So I'm going to mark it here and here, and then grab my cutter and cut that down. So I went ahead and cut those pieces for my front and back covers out of those jelly prints. For the front, I'm going to use this silver and black with this die cut that I showed you earlier. On the outside, but I'm only going to put the outside piece on for now, and you'll see why when we go to attach it to the book. Basically, the reason why is because I want to cover up this on the inside with the other piece of that paper. So I'm going to add some glue to this and glue it down for this outside of the front cover. Alright, I'm going to add glue just to the accordion part here for starters. And then pop my front cover right on there, making sure I get it lined up with the signatures top and bottom, and especially at this spine over here. Just make sure it's kind of all even. Oops. And I have glue squishing. Sometimes I have glue squishing. Alright, I'm going to open that up and just press down real good on that. I know I've mentioned this before, but one thing I really like about this Aleene's Tacky Glue is that you have a few seconds of wiggle room with it. If you don't get something on straight right off the bat, you have room to finagle it and manipulate it around. Whereas like with the art glitter glue, and the art glitter glue is wonderful, I love it too, but you've only got a few precious seconds to get your piece in place with that stuff. So that's one reason why I've been using this Aleene's tacky glue a lot more lately, because of that wiggle room. Okay, before I glue down this inside cover piece, I'm going to take a little bit of masking tape and I'm just going to add it to the ribbon here to reinforce this, because I'm worried that it will tear through my paper if it gets pulled on at all. So I'm going to tear off a piece of my masking tape. Before I do that, actually, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more glue underneath the ribbon as well. I just like to reinforce things. I worry about things coming apart, and I know it happens. I mean, we're working with paper, so it happens. But I like to do my best to avoid it. Do whatever I can to avoid things falling apart, especially with items that I'm going to be selling. And this may end up going to a craft fair with me, so, or going onto my Etsy shop, I'm not sure. So we'll see how it turns out. Of course, just like almost every other journal I make, I want to keep it, but I can't keep them all. Okay, so now that I have that in place and that's a little bit more reinforced there, I'm going to glue this piece onto the inside of the front cover. There's our front cover. I'm going to repeat that process now with the back cover and these two pieces of jelly print paper. Here it is, our accordion spine insert journal. I've got plenty of ribbon for a nice bow tie closure, and it opens and flips and stays open real nicely. Oh, I also wanted to mention, so when you have these holding pieces, you can also do different things with. For example, here's a little mini envelope I made out of a book page with a little journaling spot in there, and you can just attach that onto that holding piece and you have another little page or another little pocket, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. Real quick, like I'm going to decorate my cover. So I've showed you that I cut earlier, and then I went to my little word box and found this phrase, and I tore them each apart. I want to go ahead and use my Distress ink in black soot and do a little inking around the edges and then add those to this cover. Whoa, that is really juicy. We are done. I am probably going to go through here and do a little bit more embellishing. Here's a little pocket I added with a scrap. You know, tuck something into a few pockets, put in a few more pockets, maybe do a few things with some of these holding pieces like I showed before, and just embellish this up a little bit more. I think I probably am going to be listing this little art journal on Etsy, as well as taking it to some craft fairs. If you're interested in looking at that, I will post a link to my Etsy shop down below, so you can go hop on over there and take a look at that. Some of my glue is still drying here. And that is all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and feel free to share my channel, and also click that little notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload a new video. I do a video every week, sometimes two, but most of the time it's just one video a week. I try to upload on Saturdays, so keep your eyes open for my other videos coming, and feel free to look back at some of my older videos. So have a blessed day.